A very good morning to one and all present here. It's been a pleasure to be here at KarnavatiUniversity for today's TEDx talk. And the next 15 to 16 minutes, I would like to reflect my life journey on how I learned from all my experiences and how my life transformed. So yes, that's a brief bio about me. But then to begin with, we all have dreams to achieve in life. And my dream was one of the most expensive dreams, that was to climb Mount Everest. And coming from a middle class family, to even think of climbing Mount Everest is really challenging because to climb Everest, it costs 30 lakh Indian rupees approximately. And coming from a middle class family, it was very difficult for me to even think of it, but I did not give up. The very first support system that came was from my grandmother. She sold off all her gold jewelries to send me on the mountain. Then it was my mom who joined the same. Of course, after both of them selling the gold jewelries also, we did not have 30 lakh rupees. We had about 10 lakh rupees. Then there was an article that had come in one of the newspaper about my dream, and more than 10,000 individuals crowdfunded to this campaign. And when this happened, I knew that I was not just climbing the mountain of my dream, but also carrying the support of 10,000 individuals who unconditionally supported me. And that's the lesson for all of us, because a lot of time, there are a lot of people who have been supporting us directly or indirectly, and we tend to forget about their contributions in our life. So after all the contributions that were set, my life had started for my biggest dream, and that was the journey to Mount Everest. And to go to Mount Everest, you need to hike for 15 days to reach to the base camp. And these 15 days again were really very challenging because before climbing Everest, I did contact a lot of stalwarts who were Everest summiters and to whom I looked upon as role model. But I was always criticized for my height, saying that Bhagya, you're too short, I don't think you can do it, you look too weak. And that's when I decided, why not? I mean, if I decide that I can do it, there's nobody who can stop me at all. So my journey began towards Mount Everest, and a lot of times we always compare ourselves with others, and we always try to see why is it that even after working so hard, the other person is performing much better than me. But always remember, growth and progress is not fast in life, it's gradual. And even if you move one step closer to your goal, you are still closer to your goal than what you were before. So that's one of the lesson and takeaway that I had. This was the best lesson of my life, which transformed my life completely. That is, whatever happens in your life, just appreciate it, embrace it, and move on. So whenever it used to snow, a lot of climbers, my fellow climbers, used to go inside their tent because it's cozy, you have the warm sleeping bag, it's more comfortable out there. But a girl from Mumbai who had never seen snow in her life, I used to step out. I used to cherish the snow because I wanted to accept the way it is, because even if I stay inside my tent, it's not going to stop snowing outside, right? So I'm just going to enjoy it and live it to my fullest, and that's how I enjoyed it. This lesson, I will tell you at the end how it helped me in my life. And this is the lifestyle that we have on the mountain. That's how we get the drinking water. At the bottom, you can see the food resources that we have, which are for 3 months, stipulated for 3 months technically. And that's our base camp, how it looks. And every time I've been to the base camp the next day, fortunately, it was always snowing. Every sport has a different risk, whether it's mountaineering or it's cricket or it's running or it's football. Risks in mountaineering were a little different than what it was said to be compared to other traditional sports. So as we know, as we climb higher, the oxygen content in the air goes lower. And due to less oxygen flow, because I was climbing very fast, my body did not get acclimatized. So what happens on Mount Everest is, from the base camp, you don't climb to the summit directly. From the base camp, you go to Camp 1, again you come back, stay at the base camp for a few days, then you go to Camp 1, go to Camp 2, come to Camp 1, again stay at base camp for a few days. You do this process till the time you reach the summit, because that is where your body gets acclimatized to the climate, to the weather, to the altitude, and the diet over there is totally different. So when I was climbing very fast, my body did not get sufficient time to acclimatize. Also because my funds were organized a little late, so I was lagging behind. My team had started already 3 weeks ago, and I had to catch up with them. And in that due process, I landed up getting high altitude sickness because of less oxygen content and poor acclimatization. And the very first thing that happened was, when I got outside the tent at Camp 2 of Everest Base Camp, this is how I was walking. Yeah, I had lost balance. Then my Sherpa asked me, what's your name? He tried asking me a lot of questions. I thought I was talking, but when I saw the videos later, my responses were blah, 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 blah. I was just blabbering. So very first thing that happens when your body does not get oxygen is your cerebellum gets affected, you lose your balance, your speech gets affected, and my Sherpa detected this very early. So early detection of this, or early detection of injuries in sports as per se, is very much important, because the more early you identify it, it's easier to treat it. So when my Sherpa identified that I was suffering from high altitude sickness, he immediately put me on artificial oxygen with the cylinders masked up inside my tent. He made me drink a lot of hot tea, hot chocolate, hot coffee, so that my body has a lot of fluids in. So after 4 hours, where I had even lost my memory, I was recovering consciousness. I was gaining back my consciousness and my journey again. I had to load down the altitude for a few days so that I get back to normalcy and restart my journey. All this, when it happened, you can see the image at the bottom. That's where I had lost my memory completely. But the best part of being with Sherpas is that you get to learn their culture. So yes, at times I've had 9 boiled potatoes for my dinner, because that is what the Sherpas used to eat. And it really helped me, because for my sport, carbohydrates were really needed as I was burning it. So before going to Everest, in fact, I trained very hard. As a college-going student, managing my Everest climbing training was really, really very difficult. So I try to include the training in my schedule. So what I started doing was, my college was 8 kilometers away from my house. I started wearing the backpack that I would be wearing at Everest, and putting 25 kgs in the backpack, putting weight bands of 2 to 4 kgs, and then walking 8 kilometers to college, finishing the college, walking 8 kilometers back. That is how basically I trained myself. And of course, I trained in high altitude gyms, because preparation for anything is very much important and necessary for the body. So after all this, my Everest journey was almost coming to an end. But Everest is very beautiful, as you can see. This, what you can see, is called as Kumbhu Icefall. It's called as Icefall because it keeps moving all the time. And on the right, what you can see are these crevices which are between Kumbhu Icefall. They look very beautiful, but also dangerous. If you're not harnessed to a safety rope, you can straight away go in, and then probably you wouldn't be here if you have. So no matter what sport you play, it's very much important that you follow the safety equipments, and the rules and regulations are made for our safety itself. So never compromise on your safety gear, whether it's a sport or even as basic as riding your motorbike or your car. And when this was happening, my Everest journey had come to an end. Unfortunately or fortunately, Everest is 8,848 meters, and I landed up climbing only till 8,000 meters. That red dot, what you can see out there, that is where I climbed till. And for the first time, I had altitude sickness. I did not get any other summit window or clear weather cycle to again restart. The second time I went from the Chinese side, I was the first Indian who was allowed to climb from the Chinese side. And even then, I'd missed the summit because of poor weather. So a lot of times what happens is we always prepare for ourselves. We always work very hard to achieve our goal, to fulfill our aim. But sometimes some external factors are not in our favor. And when they are not in our favor, there's nothing that we can do about it. So remember one of my lessons, accept things the way they come. That's exactly what I did. I did not focus on the last 800 meters of the mountain. I focused on the 8,000 meters that I covered. The things that I learned, the virtues, the life virtues that I learned in these 8,000 meters of the mountain. And they had changed my life. They had transformed my life completely. In these 8,000 meters, I've learned so much about life values. I have learned so much about things that is essential for anybody in life. And that exactly what made me very positive and optimistic in life. Because in fact, I was pushing my Sherpa, even if there is bad summit window, let us please go for it. Let us try to give it a try. Let us try to climb. But he told me one thing, that if you're alive, you can always come back for the mountain. The mountain is always here. Just the same way that we say in Hindi, Sar Salamat Pagdi Pachas. If you have your head, you can wear 50 different turbans, but you need to have your head. Similarly, you need to have your life so that you can again attempt it. And a lot of times in our childhood, in fact, we've always been taught that success and opposite are failure of each other. But no, success and failure are a combined constellation. Failure is a part of success. That is what we've not been taught. And this failure that I'm very proud of taught me so many different things in my life. So every story has a climax. When I got back from Everest, I had not summited. I was a little upset, of course. But then my life did not stop, because I lost 30 lakh rupees, but I did not summit the mountain. But I was also grateful that I managed to climb till 8,000 meters of the mountain. So somebody used to call me short. Know that this short girl has been 8,000 meters above sea level at the tallest point probably anybody in this room would be standing right now. I mentioned about climax. This was the climax. So when I was back from Everest, I was playing rugby at Bombay Gymkhana, and I got tackled during one of the match, and I landed on my right knee directly. The very first mistake that I did is I heard someone cheering from outside, "Bhagya, get up and run," because I had the ball in my hand. The try line was very close, and I got up. I put the next leg, and I heard a cloth tearing sound from my knee, and I did not know what that was. And trust me, until then, I did not even know the word ligament in my life. But yeah, after tearing it off, I did know what ligament was. So I heard that tear sound, and after that, I was not able to walk at all. I was just on one leg. That's how I moved out of the field. And after all of that, with a little guidance, I went to doctors. I got the MRI done. Then I got to know, okay, the ACL, it was a complete ACL tear. The ligament was completely torn off. And as an athlete, there were a lot of things going in my mind, because for me, my leg, my knee movement and all was so crucial for my sport. When this happened, my doctor, in fact, Dr. Dinshaw Pardiwala and Dr. Rohan Vakta, they were just there with me, and they were telling me that it's fine. It can be reconstructed, because now there is technology that has gone forward ahead. There is so much of development that are happening in the field of sports medicine. So when this happened, one thing what I learned from the mountain is that whatever happens, if you cry, it's not going to heal. It's not going to change anything. So be happy and grateful for everything that's happening. I was very happy that I'd broken my leg. We tried the traditional ways, whether it's healing by itself, but it wasn't. So it needed a medical surgery, and I was mentally prepared for it. I cut a cake with my surgeons and with my nurses because instead of crying, so instead of just cribbing about it, why not just enjoy it? And I was very much mindful about the surgery and all happening. I was excited, something new is happening in my life. Let me take it the way it has to come to me. And that, in fact, had a very positive perspective in my life. So even after the surgery, a lot of people told me, okay, the typical stereotypic dialogues that started coming in, Bhagya, enough of playing, ab ghar baithna hai, just sit home, just focus on your studies, you've already broken your leg once, no need to get back to sport. And that's where my second why not again came in power, because if I have decided that I will pursue my dreams no matter what, nobody can ever stop me. And when this happened, when people told me don't do this, don't do that, that's when I decided to cycle. Because cycling, in fact, is the safest sport and the best sport for recovery after an ACL reconstruction surgery. And I started cycling from a town called Himachal Pradesh, Palampur in Himachal Pradesh. From Himachal, I went to Himachal, Punjab, Chandigarh, Haryana, Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal, Assam. From Assam, again back to Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Dadra Nagar Haveli, Daman and Diu, then Gujarat, cutting through Maharashtra, going to Andhra Pradesh, from Andhra Pradesh going to Tamil Nadu, then coming to Kerala, cutting through Goa, again going back to southern part of Maharashtra, and then completing the ride in Bangalore. And this ride was filled with so many beautiful experiences, because I was not doing this for myself. If I was doing this after an injury, I wanted to inspire a lot more people to pursue their dreams no matter what. There's nothing that can stop us. So I landed up cycling to 400 government schools across India. 400 government schools, meeting these beautiful young children and telling them the importance of sports and education, because both are equally important in a system. I can never complain or probably make sport or education compete with each other, because for me, both of them have been equally important. So I still pursue my sport, and I've done my MSc in psychology. So there's nowhere that I compromise. In our culture, in our system, we probably need to maintain that beam balance. And sports teaches us so many different beautiful things, so much of discipline that we learn from, so much of teamwork that we learn from. We always, in our moral science classes, have been only listening and hearing about it. But it's very much important that we also start practicing about it. And because when you practically start working in things like that and such an environment, that's when that's the beauty, you start learning about it. So yes, after visiting 400 government schools, my life, I feel I had already achieved the best thing in my life that I always wanted to, by inspiring almost 50,000 young children across India. And there were so many life lessons that I learned. And when people told me, Bhagya, after an injury, you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that, I ended up doing this. I ended up cycling 18 states, 5 territories, covering almost 20,000 kilometers, and that became a Guinness World Record. The previous record was by an Australian. So by 500 kilometers, I managed to break the record. And so far, I'm the only girl in the world who has done this long distance within a single country. And thank you. All this happened after my surgery. After a major sports injury where people asked me to quit my career, that's where I accepted things the way they were in my life. I appreciated them. I wanted to embrace them. And this is the result of how I embraced it. And history repeats, right? So I got injured again. The same ligament snapped out and I had to undergo revision surgery. But I knew the outcome from the first surgery was before, so there was no turning back or there was nothing to give up in life. And the best part is when you have zero expectations from life, anything that you do, you're always proud about it. So after the second surgery, I am again back to sports. I've completed more than 18 half marathons. I've become a super randoner, which is a series of cycling where you cycle 200, 400 and 600 kilometers. And then I've completed a lot of duathlons. I've completed the Goa half Ironman in the team relay. And not just completing, because life is not just about finishing things, right? It's about you doing things, getting your best side out and you performing to your optimal level and also winning. So I've again started winning back podiums and I'm again getting back to the competitive state, and all this again after my second surgery. So after breaking my leg twice, still standing in front of you, still being able to run and pursue my dreams and do everything that people told me, Bhagya, you cannot do it, and me telling them that of course I can do it because I have decided I will do it, and I'm here doing all of this. And if all of this is possible, I'm sure nothing in your life or there's any reason for you to stop in your life that you can always speak about. Whatever you decided, just give it your best thought, give it your best push, and always be positive about anything and everything you do in your life. Of course, we cannot succeed all the time in our life. At times we fail. It's fine. Just accept your failure and work harder. That's exactly what I did. And after doing all this, I'm glad that I have probably achieved Everest of my dreams. The mountain is always there. I will definitely go back there one day, and I'm sure that you all will also achieve your dream. And when the society tells you, you cannot do this, just ask them, why not? Why are you stopping me? You can definitely do it. Wishing you all the best. Follow your dreams, and always remember, whenever you want to give it a try, fear is temporary, but regret is forever. So always give it a try, overcome your fear. It's better than regretting your entire life saying that I wish I should have tried it someday. Thank you so much, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed the talk.